Now it's game 2. Are we gonna see the new champion, or is she gonna stop it? And what they played, the famous and the newest and the most violent Joseki strategy from professional world. We covered the whole game, now let's get started. Hi there everybody, it's Hidez bringing you Game 2 of the first 81-0 title match. Now you remember Game 1, ONEYE from Poland and TELLMARCH from France, they played great game, a so close game, and TELLMARCH took that game. So now it's Game 2. So of course ONEYE is under a lot of pressure this time. She has to get this game to get going. So now let's take a look at it. And this time black is TELLMARCH, as opposed to last game where ONEYE played black. So now I'm going to tell you what these two greatest European players played in this game. What opening they chose, well, you're going to see is the latest Joseki, the most aggressive and fierce Joseki of the latest professional players. It's the super rapid attack opening of Gokigen Central Rook. So let's take a look at it. Rook 5b, pawn 2e, 3d, and gold to 5h from the right. Now TELLMARCH is kind of asking to play this most violent opening to entertain us. And of course white accepts it, pawn to 5e. So great. Well, it's just great that these two players even know the latest professional Josekis. So let's just flip through the moves because it's along the very famous Joseki. Now pawn to 2d, pawn takes, rook takes, and of course pawn to 5f, opening the bishop's diagonal. Black has to take it, so bishop trade, and of course you see this bishop fork on 3c, forking the rook and the silver. But black's fine, he knows that. He takes the knight on 2a, so bishop takes the silver, 8h, and here's the famous move, knight drop on 5e. Well, this is a very famous Joseki move because if white carelessly saves this two squares, bishop check, and whatever she does, for example, let's say silver blocks it, well, knight sack, and you can win the horse. Let's say king runs, well, knight sack, and you lose the horse. So white has to be careful of this position. And the Joseki move is king to 6b, and ONEYE did that, of course. So there are a couple of candidate moves in this Joseki, but most played one is this, dragon to 1a. TELLMARCH did that. And white has basically two options, knight, taking the knight, taking the lance. She chose taking the lance, which is most played variation. So they know Joseki very well. Okay, so bishop drop on 3c, still the most famous Joseki, and silver to 40. Now black's idea is he wants to, at this position, bishop drop, he's still trying to make that snapping of the horse, so silver drop to 40. And black's idea is to trade the bishop with the silver. So I actually did that, and then drop the lance to 6f, piling the attackers along this 6c square, and of course this dragon can anytime go checking that square. And before you do that, it is said that black should exchange his silver with the bishop because it's pretty difficult to defend with the bishop than with the silver. And on the other hand, black can use this silver to attack very effectively. So, silver 7b, still Joseki move. Okay, now silver drop to 8b, still the famous Joseki. So, the question is, when are they going to play their own game? Well, not yet. They still go along the Joseki. Now, bishop drop on 2g. Okay, this is a very good way of defending 6c square with the bishop. Because if bishop goes to 6c, it's going to be a horse, right? Horse's defense is 3 generals. Yeah, and this is a Joseki move. And Joseki still goes silver to 9a, taking the lance, promote, threatening to take the knight. And look at this. If the silver recaptures, he loses the defender on this square, which means this these guys can break that square, although the horse is still protecting this square. So very complicated situation. Okay, now here's where they branched out from the primary Josuke line. When I actually played it, Lance drop on 5D. Well, it's not much of a big difference. Basically, the Josuke here is Lance drop on 5C. Well, the reason is white wants to maintain this diagonal to 6C square. So, Lance drop on 5D closes that bishop diagonal. So it's a little bit out of the usual way. And, after Lance drop on 5C, the Josuke goes, you take the knight, and you see you cannot recapture it, right? Because these pieces are aiming at this square. So Lance takes the knight. Yeah, so it's not a big deal once the Lance takes the knight. The difference between taking from here or taking from here. Oh, it's the same color. Let's change the color here. So it's not a big deal. And Lance pawn recaptures, and then he takes the silver, and Josuke goes Lance drop on 6C, and it's a very difficult situation. But in this game, when I drop the Lance to 5D, so maybe TELLMARCH thought he has to maybe punish this. He wants to punish this move, so he didn't play the usual sequence because the bishop diagonal is closed. He thought he should go ahead, taking the 6C square. Lance takes, silver takes, and knight recaptures, and king takes. Now the king is out of his camp, and now he's in danger. And then he took the knight on 8A. All right. Now the question is, which is better? And I don't know. Well, although white's king looks pretty in danger, well, black's king too. Now white took the pawn on 5F with the Lance, and this is clearly a threat mate. Well, how threat mate? Threat mate. How? Well, you take the gold, you even sack the rook, and whatever. Well, let's drop a pawn. Well, these squares are covered. These squares are covered. There's no way the king can escape to anywhere. White has gold, knight, and Lance, and pawn. So it's clearly a threat mate. So what should black do here? Well, the question is white king in a mate? Maybe, for example, knight drop. Is that a mate? Well, no. The answer is no. So black played dragon to 1C, checking the king. Well, this is a good move because, if white interposes a piece to 5C, then that interposes his own rook's influence along this file. So maybe the king wants to run here. Well, he runs to here. Well, knight drop is there, but, well, not a big deal. The king can get away. Well, maybe she doesn't care about the rook anymore. Black's king is in danger too, right? So that was an option. Also, king to 6B was also an option. Because this square is covered with the bishop. It's even attacking this promoted silver. But maybe she felt a little bit uncomfortable with it because the rook can, in some way, blocked in the later sequence. So she chose a very aggressive idea. You know what that is? King to 7D. Going ahead. Okay, now remember, black's king is still in a threat mate. So he has to do something about it. But what about this king? King lone and 7D. Is there by any chance a mate? Well, black tried to find a mate, of course, but he couldn't because there is no mate actually. So that's why she did that 7D. Well, very good decision. She was sure there's no mate. So basically at this position, white is going faster than black. White's making a threat mate and black is not making threat mate yet. But if black plays correctly, maybe he can get this game because there are plenty of ways to get rid of this threat mate and simultaneously make this king not safe. So, well, one example. Let's drop a lance, for example, here. And let's see it's mate or not. and it's no mate. Well, what about zero drop? Well, you can run. You can see it can take this pawn and go ahead here. Yeah, so that's why it's not a mate. So, for example, lance drop is no mate either, but zero drop to here, not an 8f. You have to drop on 9f to protect this square. So a king will have to take this pawn, but look at this knight fork, and black can get rid of this lance anytime. So yeah, black king is actually okay, and white king is not so safe. So maybe black is a little bit still better here, but it's not. But there's no mate. Oh, and another idea here might be knight drop on 7g. Well, this is clearly a threat mate covering these two squares, which means later on zero drop to 70 is a checkmate, and it's also blocking this horse. So maybe this move is a threat mate removing threat mate because it blocks the horse. But if he had done that, he would have lost because it's not saving his own king from threat mate. Even with this knight, the black king's is in a mate. Let's say pawn drop has to take. Well, the horse is blocked, but knight sack. Well, if you take it, well, you have to take it actually. The horse diagonal is here, so pawn drop, and it's a mate, right? So very difficult position. Maybe black is better, but if he make one little mistake, then white can win this game. So now what black is going to do here? Well, he chose this move. Pawn push to 70. Well, interesting idea. If the king takes it, dragon can come over here. Well, I don't see a mate yet, but you know, the dragon is nearer to the king, and well, the king is even in danger, more in danger. So white didn't take it. She played king to 80. So now maybe black should drop that zero drop and you know, take the knight. Take the lance and make his own king safe. But black didn't do that. He at this position he dropped the pawn to 5c, blocking the rook. So it eliminates the threat mate for now. But this is the position where white has got a chance. Since white's king is not in a threat mate yet, what white only have to do is keep making threat mates. What about pawn drop? Maybe the gold can calmly run, it's fine, so not a good idea. So I think maybe knight drop on 5g was a good idea here. So maybe, you know, black doesn't have time to take this rook. Okay, now let's see what ONEYE did. He took the gold on 5h, a very natural move. Gold recaptures and pawn dropped on 5g. Okay, black still cannot take the rook, so gold takes the pawn on 5g, and here's the knight drop on 6c. Okay, now the question is this a threat mate or not? If it's not, black can have time to take the rook. Well, I'm not sure. But TELLMARCH says, well, I'm sure it's not a mate. So he took the rook. Okay, now is it a mate or not? Is TELLMARCH right? Well, there are plenty of moves that he has to be careful. For example, you know, gold sack and knight check. He has to read that kind of thing. And what ONEYE did was gold drop on 4i. King runs to 6h. Okay. Now knight takes the gold promote. Well, it looks pretty close. King takes, was it mate or no mate? If mate, white wins. If not mate, black wins. Okay, now there are plenty of ways to keep attacking. You know, pawn drop, lance drop. But she couldn't read all the moves. She couldn't see the mate. She couldn't find a move. Maybe, and probably, being out of time, she just played king to 7f. Well, clearly out of time, not find a way to mate the king. So here, yeah, it's of course a mate. Rook drop on 8f, and here now a white resigned. So congratulations for TELLMARCH. He took 2 games in a row and became the first 81-0. But of course, ONEYE did great too. They played so great games in these 2 games, and the end game was so close. Both players could have won this title, so it was an amazing term. And well, let's look forward to the second term. Now, who's gonna challenge this title holder, TELLMARCH? We'll see. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.